Hey guys, this is Jordan here to bring you guys a video on my node empire setup, and I'm gonna go ahead and bring out some notes to kind of leave for you guys on how to set up your node empire, and this should help you out. I'm just gonna give some key pointers. The first thing you want to know is any material node that you get, which is basically materials that are around the map. You want to pick up nodes that generate the most silver. Okay, so it doesn't necessarily mean nodes you need. Okay, so materials that you need. If, for example, a node that you need, we'll just pretend that you need copper. We'll pretend that you need copper, and copper, I always use this as an example because copper nodes are very, very bad currently. So if we look at the price of copper, okay, so if we go to the marketplace and we go look at copper, copper is sitting at the very bottom of 263. Now if we put 1,000 in, as if we were going to buy this, it only cost 263k silver. Okay, so now we're going to look at a node called potatoes. Okay, so if we come over here and look at Velia, alright, I do have a potato node, and in this example, if we go look at the price of potatoes, okay, on NA they're sitting at max price for 1,500. If we were to buy 1,000, it's going to cost us 1.5 mil. Okay, so copper was 263k, and potatoes are 1.5 mil, and they're both the same contribution points. And in this example, as you can tell, this node is roughly let's see here, 254. So it's roughly about 6 times more expensive to get for this material. So every potato that you receive from the node, you will earn 6 times the copper. Okay, that is one tip. Alright, so you do not want to necessarily take nodes that you need. You want to take nodes that are expensive. And items that you need, you may end up buying them. Okay. A second tip is going to be that you're going to want on every material node the fastest worker. Okay, which for most nodes is going to be goblins. So you're going to want artisan goblins for all the material nodes, or papu, or artisan dwarfs with the new Odalita area. Okay, so for any material node, these are going to be best in slot. These are going to basically give you more ticks every hour than any other worker. Okay, now humans and giants have their purpose. For example, with crates, workshops, and with farms. Okay, so typically with crates, workshops, and farms, giants and humans can potentially be better. Now there are some goblins that can be better than all of these. It just depends on how active you're going to be playing. You could potentially just say all goblins are the best. However, every player has their own amount of time that they can play the game, so it is going to be kind of situational. Alright, so in this we're going to start out with Olvia. Okay, so I'm going to move to the town of Olvia. Hopefully I kind of described basically the types of workers that you're going to want and what you're going to be looking for. So in Olvia, we currently don't have any setup. I don't have any nodes. However, we do have something going on in here. We have a residence. This is basically where I do my alchemy at. So I send all my alchemy materials here, and this is, yeah, where I do alchemy at. So we did invest CP into a residence. Now I also have a crate worker doing sunrise herb crates, which are one of the best trash crates that you can potentially do. This is going to, one of the main reasons why this is one of the best trash crates that you can do is because of the weight. So if you look at the weight of the crate, it's about 15 pounds. If we go over to, now I do have some multiple crates, I'll come over to Calpheon to show you. If we look at the weight of a copper crate, it's about 30 pounds. And if we look at timber, it's around the same, 30 pounds. Okay. But if we look at these are 15, so these are twice the weight loss compared to copper and timber. Okay. Now copper crates aren't bad, and neither are timber crates. These are also decent crates to do for trash crates. And the reason why I picked these for trash crates is because of how cheap they are. Okay, so basically when you do trash crates, you're just buying cheap material. Okay, that's pretty much all we got going on in Olvia. I'm going to come down here to Velia, and I already showed the example of potato and copper. Now we also have chicken meat and eggs. We have potato and chicken meat eggs. If we go look at the market, and these are why I have these nodes, is because there is a decent demand on chicken meat with the new OD meal release. So this node will fairly go up. We also have eggs, which have been sold out for months. For at least 4 months. These have been sold out with pre-orders, and that mainly has to do with cooking. So if you're not fairly, or if you're fairly new in the game, cooking's really good right now. So a lot of cook nodes are very good. Now a couple months later, who knows, cooking might die out, or maybe cooking becomes too many people are doing cooking, so the markets could change. All right, and you basically as the player need to change your contribution around depending on the market if you're trying to min-max. All right, now we'll come down here. I do have 1 point in Maple Timber Monk's Branch. This is kind of just an extra node. I have a free worker. I had a free point of contribution, so I did take this. This is kind of a meh node. But it is better than copper and powder of flame. So if I come down here, we have the Trace of Earth, Trace of Ascension. Currently on the NA market, if we go look at traces, if I click on this, we can scroll down. We have Trace of Earth, Trace of Ascension, both sold out with pre-orders. So this is going to be a really good trace node. Okay, it just depends on the market. So currently for this video, this is probably going to be the best trace node in the game for NA. Now if I come down here in Heidel, you can see what's going on in Heidel. I currently am running a costume workshop, and I'm pumping out costumes. We also have all the lodging in the back, because this basically gives you the most workers for the amount of contribution that you can put in. And also to mention, before we keep going further into my node empire, I do have a lot of pay-to-win lodging, okay, in pretty much every town. So if I go down to, I believe it's in function, yeah. So you can see as I have bought a lot of lodging in Balanos, Serendia, Calpheon, Medea, Valencia, Kama, Portferia, Arihaza, Velia, Olvia, and so on and so forth. So I do have a lot of pay-to-win lodging. If you are wondering how I have a lot of nodes, that has a lot to do with it. That helps save contribution. And then also I have a lot of pay-to-win storage. Okay, so I don't have a lot of contribution points that I put into storage because I have bought a lot of storage already. Oh yeah, and then also in Velia, we have these lodgings for workers. And I believe this one as well for the lodging. Now, if we come down to Heidel, okay, so besides the costume mill that we currently have, we also have down here, we have pumpkin, flax, and wheat. We have pumpkin, cooking honey. We have trace of savagery, trace of hunting. We have another maple timber, red tree lump, and we have a fleece knitting yarn. Now the fleece knitting yarn, I chose to invest CP into this because it's used in bartering. Okay, so if you're new to bartering and you don't know what bartering is, they basically came out. There we go. There's the barter node, or the barter icons. They came out with another life skill that has to deal with taking materials that are on the market and you transfer them for these objects which are used in bartering. So there's knitting yarn, for example. That is why I have this node, and currently with the market, knitting yarn is fairly good. It's not too bad. It is slowly lowering as more and more players pick up the node, but that is an example of what I have over here in Heidel. And then if we go look at pumpkins and honey, so we can come over here, look at honey. All right, honey's hidden around 3,000 and kind of slowly increasing. This is also used in the Odalita meal, so this could potentially keep going up. We also have the pumpkin. So if we go over to pumpkins, pumpkins are doing fairly good. Typically I will keep the pumpkin nodes as long as they're above 1,000. So that's typically my mark where I will keep the nodes. Now in Calpheon, I don't have anything running currently, nothing running. Over here in Calpheon, we have a couple things. We have wheat and barley. Again, grain nodes. So if we go look at barley, barley's sitting at about max price. If we go look at wheat, wheat is also sitting at about max price. So these are going to be fairly good nodes to invest into. And then we have the Trace of Battle, Trace of Forest node, which was slowly becoming an also good trace node to pick up, because we have Trace of Battle, which is at max price. We also have Trace of Forest, which is slowly kind of going up. As you can kind of tell, people are starting to buy some of it. However, it was starting to go way up, which could have potentially made it a really, really good node to pick. Okay. If we come over here at Calpheon, we have a lot of stuff going on. I typically run a lot of trash crates here, and the reason why I pick Calpheon is because Calpheon, you can have a lot of lodging, and it's just a really, really good crate spot to make crates and any other stuff. They have a lot of workshops in here. So if we look at, actually I think I need to feed more workers. So while I'm making this video, we'll just bloop. All right. So we have a lot of crate workshops going. We have a bunch of sunrise herb and silver azalea running right now. Now if we currently look, typically what I do is I just let them build up, and then I will transfer wagon. I will send these over to Valencia with a trade wagon. And that's pretty much what I've done with all of my trade crates, is I will just transfer wagon them across. Now, back to looking at nodes or investments with CP. We also have 2 tool workshops currently invested into, and I am currently making shiny empty bottles. And this is basically for silver. So if we come look at the market, it's slowly kind of going up, and the reason why is because of the demand on purified water, which is very high with the oat meal and other recipes in alchemy using a lot of purified water. So because of this demand, I went ahead and started making bottles. So yeah. We also have a couple of other crates. We have a couple of wood crates, but currently I don't have any wood to turn into trash crates. And the rest of the CP is typically invested into a lot of lodging, so I can have more and more workers to make these trash crates, which do not make me silver. So trash crates don't make me silver. I pretty much break even on them, and I just am buying this and investing my CP into this so that I can power level my trading to hopefully get to guru trading, which is one of my guru goals. If we come down here to Trent, we have a couple of these nodes. These nodes aren't too good according to the market. If we were to look at a lot of these nodes, I do have these nodes just because I have the CP. However, I will probably be uninvesting out of this, but just for this video, I do have these nodes. They were fairly good a couple of months ago. If we go look at fir timber, a couple months ago it was sitting around 1,500 each, and now it's only around 1,000. If it keeps lowering down below 800, then that's probably when I'm going to start uninvesting out of these nodes and look for something else. It's currently what we have running in Trent as our setup. Now, come over to, I think I already mentioned Calpheon, we don't have anything. Come over here to Duven kern. The only nodes that I have currently are the barley and corn, and that's because they generate good silver every single day. And then, as you can tell, we have artisan goblins, which are going to be the best choice for material nodes. Now, if we come down here to Grana, we have Knockor Powder of Earth, we have Knockor Powder of Time. We have these nodes typically just to level up my characters, because I am currently working on trying to learn skills for these characters. If I come up here, we have the loopy tree timber and loopy sap. Now, this market was fairly good a couple months ago, but it has slowly died. We were looking at about 2,000 for each loopy tree timber 4 months ago, and now it is sitting at min price. Thank you, Billies, for crashing the market. You guys are awesome. If we come over to tree planks, same thing. Thank you, Billies, for throwing your materials all the way at the bottom so that you get barely any silver. So this was really good 4 months ago. I definitely would have recommended this node. However, it looks like we're probably going to be uninvesting out of this node fairly soon. Now, if I come up here to Star's End, we have the Mass of Pure Magic, Trace of Violence, Trace of Death. Trace of Violence and Death, I believe, are pretty good on NA. If I come down here, yeah, Trace of Death is sold out and Trace of Violence is sold out. So we do have that node, but we mainly picked up this node for the Mass of Pure Magic. So that's why we picked up that node for black stars. Now if I come down to Old Wisdom Tree, we do use Papus to get into Odalita. Okay, so I am going to go over to Odalita Meal, or not Odalita Meal, but Odalita Nodes. So I use currently Papus to get the Thornwood Timber and Thornwood Sap, which is fairly new. So these are going to be pretty good nodes at the start to get. They do sit at max price for the Timber, and the Thornwood Sap has a bunch of pre-orders and is also at still climbing. So depending on this price, this node could be good. However, currently it's not that great and I may uninvest out of it, but we do have the contribution to pick it up. And a lot of the Thorn Sap is used in a lot of the new elixirs in Odalita. Now down here we have the Mass Appear Magic Trace of Battle, again mainly just for the Mass Appear Magic for enhancing, so that's why we picked up that. If we come down here for Odalita, we have the Potato and Grape node. So depending on the Grape node, if we go look at this is around 2,000 and still kind of climbing. It went all the way up to 3,000. So we do have this node. It's fairly decent. If we come down here, we have the Thornswood Timber, Thornswood Sap, and then over here we have the Chicken node, which is also around max price for the eggs, and then the chicken meat is rising. So we do have those. It's pretty much all I picked up. I did test the nickel ore and mithril, however it is very, very, very bad when it comes to the amount of silver an hour that can be generated. But we did pick up that node for a little bit just to get the master matchlock. And then depending on nickel, will determine whether or not the node is good or not. If we come over to Glish, we do not have anything, so nothing invested in Glish. If we come over here to Tariff, we currently have the cotton nodes and cotton and aloe, which is used in bartering. I am thinking about taking out the aloe though, however, because the market has crashed and it is still crashing. It was very, very good 4 months ago. And that's pretty much all we have in Tariff. I don't have anything in Alta Nova currently, nothing invested over here. Now if we come over here to Sand Grain, we get a lot kind of going on over here in Sand Grain. We have the Nutmeg node, and we have the Copper, Powder of Flame, and Rough Opal. And you might be like, but Jordan, you just said copper ore is garbage. Why do you have it? Are you trying to like lead us in the wrong direction so you can get all the copper ore? No. This node is still fairly bad. The only reason it's decent is because of the rough opals. Okay, so if we go over to rough opals, they basically spiked because of a T10 announcement. So this could potentially start making its way up. If it does, however, go down all the way to the bottom and crash, then we will not be taking this node, and then we will uninvest out of it. So if we come down here, we currently have the Daypalm titanium nodes with rough violet crystals, and we also have the iron, powder of darkness, and rough black crystals. Okay, so if we look at the rough crystals, they're fairly decent. Black crystals that sit at min price, however they are fairly decently expensive, and then the violet as well is fairly decently expensive. So we do have these nodes along with the powder of flame and powder of darkness. Now if we look at titanium is fairly good. It was a lot better back then. or it was a little bit better back then, and then it was also really, really good at this point. However, a bunch of bellies came in and crashed the market. Now there's none on the market currently, so this could potentially start going up. So that could potentially start becoming a better node. If we come over here to Shakatu, we have the fig nodes. Okay, and we do not have these star anise. So if we go look at figs, the reason why we have these nodes is because they are very, very expensive. 3,400 each, or 3.4 mil each for every 1,000 that you get. And that's fairly, fairly good. If we go look at star anise, it's roughly already crashed below 1,000. So typically if you need this, you just want to buy this. I wouldn't recommend getting this node currently with the market. Now if we come up here, we have Freaky, Nutmeg, and the Vanadium. So if we go look at the market at Freaky, sitting at about 1,000 and slowly kind of making its way up. If we look at the node Nutmeg, also very, very expensive. 3.4 mil each every 1,000 that you receive. So fairly, fairly decent nodes. And that is currently my Shakatu setup. If we come down here to Valencia, we got all of these nodes. So we have the Freaky node and the Day Palm. And over here we have the Day Palm. Over here, we end up sending our Yahaza workers. And we have the coconut and palm timber. Typically what I do with the palm timber is I just turn it into trash crates. And the coconuts I will end up cooking. Up here, we have titanium and vanadium, along with rough blue crystals, which are used in bartering, and rough opal. Some more opals. If we also look at rough blue crystals, these are sitting at 15k each. So every 1,000, get about 15 mil. These are decent nodes. However, because the yield is very small. Now, other than that, that is pretty much my current node setup with what I have currently. And then up here, these are barter nodes. So the reason why we have these nodes is because you need the blueprints for blue carrot gear. So that is why we have these nodes, is for a carrot, or for carrot gear. Other than that, that pretty much wraps up my entire node setup for 450 contribution. It is determined though, however, by the market. Like I told you, there's a couple nodes that I am thinking about getting rid of, that I will invest my CP elsewhere. But hopefully this kind of gives you an example of what type of nodes you want, the kind of workers that you want. If you guys have any questions, you can ask me down below, or you can come visit my Twitch at twitch.tv/Jordan_TV. I typically go live at least 5 times a week. So yeah, I will see you guys later, and you guys have a good one.